From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu promises to transform Nigeria as ruling party flags off presidential campaign rally in Plateau State. Properties worth millions destroyed at Singa Market in Kano. World population hits 8 billion as experts demand workable plans for population growth. And on the international scene, 5 cases of COVID-19 discovered in Congo refugee camp. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. We begin with politics, where the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says he will not allow the country to sink under his watch if elected president in 2023. Tinubu stated this at the official flag-off of the APC presidential campaign held at Rangpam Township Stadium, Jos, the Plateau State capital. The report.
The APC presidential candidate, while addressing party faithful, noted that prior to the 2015 election, the country was challenged in the areas of insecurity, poor economy, and lack of infrastructure for the teeming Nigerians, saying with the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, he was able to renew hope for the country by bringing it back on track. He said before the 2015 election, about 17 local government areas were under the control of Boko Haram. With the emergence of Buhari as the president, he was able to dismantle the menace of Boko Haram in the northeast. According to Tinubu, he will build on the foundation laid by Buhari by improving security, infrastructures, oil exploration in the northeast, and opening of Lake Chad for agriculture and economic opportunities, adding that women and youth would no longer be neglected. Job opportunities would be created for all to ensuring improved security in the country.
If you that your life dedicated to the job was going to be taken, but Allah, who gave you the power, says you will be okay. Nigeria will be well, and our hope will renew again. Today, we are renewing that hope. Today, you have supervised a primary that is deemed as the most diligent, most free, most fair, and credible primary. And I am here. I am not the candidate. I am the candidate of our party. I am now free.
On his part, the APC national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, said Nigeria should no longer trust the PDP because of their provocative utterances that were hitting the polity. The chairman called on Nigerians to reflect on the performance of Tinubu and his running mate, Kashim Shettima, while as governors in Lagos and Borno respectively, adding that they will replicate their achievements across Nigeria.
Our party, a newcomer as it dislodged PDP from Aso Rock after 16 years and 3 presidents. It points to the inevitable fact that incumbency has its place, that the right of a party to remain in office is not cast in stone. The incumbency confers no permanent advantage. It will not save us if we fail to work hard and do those things we ought to do to win the hearts and support of the Nigerian electorate.
The event attracted party faithful from across the country.
And elsewhere in Lagos State, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, addressed the Lagos Business School Alumni Association, where he responded to questions regarding reviving the nation's economy and stabilizing the naira. Atiku also shared his plans on addressing the rising foreign and local debt profile, among other issues.
By the time you have a stable exchange rate, you would have also encouraged remittances from abroad. So there are a number of measures, which we believe if we implement, we'll have a stable exchange rate. We'll have also encourage, our industries to produce enough to export, and we will also encourage, our Nigerian citizens in diaspora to remit more money. But now, because of the fluctuation in the rate of the foreign exchange, many of them have found it very, very difficult to remit, remittances from abroad, unless it has become absolutely necessary, to support their families.
And still talking politics, Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has reacted to the strongly worded letter Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo wrote about his 2023 ambition. Obi on Tuesday at the Lagos Business School Alumni Conference said he did his little as governor of Anambra State, urging the incumbent governor to do his best in the state as an economics professor.
When you spread your investment, some will go up, some will come down, but overall, the company is still there, the company is still doing well, it's still part of a global chain and everything. I needed to explain it not because I'm defending comment by my brother. My brother is the brother, I remain my brother, we're very close, I remain prayerful for him. For other things which I didn't succeed, God has given him opportunity to do it and succeed. For me, yes. So if there's anything pending, governance, you don't finish. People are still in government in America. So you stop where you stop, other people will continue from there. I don't look back. He's the governor of my state. He's my senior brother. He's even more intelligent because he's a professor. I'm a trader. So he knows more. So he will be able to do things better than I'm doing it.
Meanwhile, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has signed an Executive Order 22 prohibiting the use of premises, buildings and structures in residential areas, in urban and non-urban areas as campaign offices by political parties without approval. A statement issued in Port Harcourt on Tuesday by Rivers State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Alagbo Chris Finebone, said the executive order also prohibits the posting of bills or posters or any other material in unauthorized places. The statement said Governor Wike, while signing the order, condemned the incessant defacement of expensive public property, particularly in Port Harcourt, through indiscriminate posting of handbills, banners, posters and all sorts of unauthorized materials. The Executive Order 22 also prescribes that any political party or association or body of persons, however called or described, that wish to use any premises, building or structure situated in a residential area in any urban area of Rivers State as campaign office must obtain permission from the Rivers State Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning. Finebone said the Executive Order 22 came into effect on Friday, the 11th of November, 2022. And with political parties and candidates gearing up for the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, a section of Benue youth says the youth population should be blamed if the country fails to get it right this time. Jimmy Azande, who spoke to some of the youth in Makurdi, reports that they want a change of guard from the old order in the next election. The report.
As political activities inundated the atmosphere in the country, youths in Benue are hoping to change the usual narrative of electionary outcome in 2023. They spoke on how some selfish politicians use youth as political thugs in communities to destabilize smooth and peaceful conduct of elections.
Let us not be deceived. Let us not be myopic. Let's look ahead. We have been bought over. Sometimes these people come to us, they give us a little amount of money, sometimes as little as 1,000, and we do sell our vote to them. That is wrong. I want to strongly advise the youths of Nigeria against this act.
They said youths must be strategic and deliberate in ensuring that they overcome the manipulation of those unpatriotic politicians who only care about themselves. They said changing the narrative can be done simply by going to the polls, exercising their franchise, by choosing the leaders they believe in.
The youths are the population of this country, we have the thugs, we have the intellect, we have everything that constitutes the strength of this country. So the moment we decide that we are tired of our sufferings and then we step up for our responsibilities, nobody can stop that. So the youth should discover their roles, and they should not only discover it, but should work towards making sure that those roles are effected.
Not be deceived by the mere currencies that they will be given by politicians, but they should work up to what is right, grab their PVCs, and then make their vote count in making the change for a better Nigeria.
The youth, especially the females, are called upon to correct the mistakes of the past.
Yes, my fellow gender have a voice. They have a vital role to play concerning the 2023 election. I want to urge them out to come out and exercise their franchise. They shouldn't just relegate themselves to a particular background, like the issue of ladies being in the kitchen alone. They should come out, get their PVC, and vote. It's their right to vote. And also, the change we're talking about begins with them.
With renewed political education and human rights consciousness, it is left to be seen if the 2023 elections will produce the results expected. Despite tough times and high cost of living, the electors have hope and wish the change in 2023 will bring their smiles back.
And now to matters of security, where the newly posted Commissioner of Police in Bauchi State, Aminu Al-Hassan, has emphasized the need for collaborative efforts to stem the tide of criminal activities, particularly with the ongoing political campaigns for the 2023 general elections. He stated this shortly after his assumption of office at the command headquarters in Bauchi. Trust TV's Adam Imam completes the story.
The new Commissioner of Police, Aminu Al-Hassan, while briefing journalists shortly after he was received by the command's management team, said it was imperative for all stakeholders to work together to deal with security issues.
And we dissuade all the people to stop doing it. Because once you make the politicians realize that actually this thing will not take place, those people who are doing it will not on their own come and do it. Because they are doing it because they have been paid. So we'll go into a serious meeting with the politicians, the stakeholders, even the people, because I know that the so-called hunters, they have their own leaders who you contact. We will bring them into our dialogue. We will dialogue with them, and the person who does not really agree, we want them to give up, and they take any back.
He also urged journalists to also ensure that they present facts in their stories to ensure that the public is not misled.
We take press as partners, and it's an open policy we shall make. And the only thing we want is nobody is infallible. I don't want an issue where maybe a minor mistake will be magnified because of one reason or another. Let us take things on merit. And as far as our relation will be, you will not regret working with me.
CP Al-Hassan warned politicians in the state to desist from using youth to disrupt public peace and stability for selfish interest, saying they will not hesitate to clamp down on anyone aiding and abetting crime in the state, no matter how highly placed.
And barely 48 hours after terrorist commanders terrorizing the country were declared wanted, the military has killed some of the bandit kingpins. The Defense Headquarters had on Monday released the names and identities of 19 terrorist commanders who have been wreaking havoc on the northeast, the northwest and the north-central zone of the country. But it was learned on Tuesday that the troops attached to Operation Hadarin Daji have started bombarding the terrorist hideouts with a view to wiping them out of the 3 zones of the country. Sources confided in our correspondent that a notorious terrorist kingpin, Alhaji Gane's enclave at Kidandan Forest in Giwa local government area of Kaduna State, was hit by the airstrike. One of the sources said some of the kingpins declared wanted were killed on Monday shortly after their declaration during an offensive operation jointly carried out by both air and land troops. Meanwhile, bandits numbering about 40 and riding on motorcycles on Sunday attacked Quaterni village, a hunters community in Batsari local government area of Katsina State. The attackers abducted 10 people, including women and children, and rustled an unspecified number of animals. Similarly, the terrorists dispossessed the villagers of their monies and other valuables, including clothes, jewelry and food items. The terrorists, who according to reports have been targeting Quaternary community over the last 7 years, succeeded in launching an attack on the village when they noticed that the majority of residents went to the markets. Now, the issue of stop and search has over the years remained controversial, as questions about a search warrant, the eligibility of police officers to search a citizen without a warrant, as well as whether or not a citizen can refuse to be searched by a police officer. However, with insecurity on the rise in the country, many are becoming a bit more accommodating of the idea of stop and search as a safety measure. In this report, Noel Sampson seeks to clarify the issue and underscores the need for all to be open to it as a necessary security measure, especially as Christmas approaches. The report.
A security warrant is a court order that a magistrate or judge issues to authorize law enforcement officers to conduct a search of a person, location, or vehicle for evidence of a crime and to confiscate any evidence they find. Outside criminal cases, securing a warrant for searching a vehicle while in transit may not be possible, as law enforcement agents may be acting on a tip-off or carrying out routine checks as a safety tip. This has over time led to confrontations between officers and civilians. But this notwithstanding, many believe there must be a balance.
When the police officer feels a crime has been committed, so at that point, you either obtain a search warrant or to search the premises where a police officer feel there is a commission of a crime in that premises or area or within the vicinity. So at that moment you obtain a search warrant. But there are other crimes that a police officer doesn't need a search warrant to make an arrest. A citizen cannot refuse to be searched by a police officer. But the law says that a male should search a male, and a male police officer cannot search a female suspect, except a female police officer can search a female suspect.
As Christmas approaches, citizens have been advised to be vigilant and not to post their locations on social media for security reasons.
I know a lot of people will be traveling, so you avoid speed driving, overloading your vehicles, and most especially we are advising members of the public to desist from posting their location and whereabouts on social media.
The police deputy have meanwhile urged residents to cooperate with security personnel by giving out reliable information that could lead to arrest of any security breach or act of criminality. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has arrested 6 Bureau de Change operators who allegedly conspired to abduct an 8-year-old child of their colleague. Disclosing this in a terse statement tweeted on Tuesday, the police spokesman in the state, Benjamin Hundeyin, said the child was released 3 days later, bound in a sack. He stated that preliminary investigations revealed that all the suspects are BDC operators in the same business district in Lagos. He said the suspects, whose names were withheld, will be arraigned at the end of the investigation. And now to health matters, where as Nigerians join the rest of the world to observe World Diabetes Day on November 14th, experts have warned that over 10 million Nigerians are living with the disease, with the numbers expected to double by 2030. They are also warning that the country may not be able to handle diabetic cases, as the nation only boasts of just 150 endocrinologists in a population of over 200 million. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
This is Abdullahi Adamu. He inherited the condition from his father and has been living with it for 11 years. He says he has been able to defy the complications of the disease by strictly adhering to medication dieting and practicing a non-sedentary lifestyle.
I was controlling the meal, then I'm sometimes doing the injection, even though the injection maybe once in 2-3 days. So the diabetes started stabilizing. It started stabilizing, but then the food becomes a problem. But one thing with diabetic, when it comes with complication. I was managing it. And within our area, we have about 5 or 6 people with diabetes. So we started eating together. We started having discussions. When I take a medicine and it give me a reaction, we now share it within ourselves. So everybody will now bring his own experience. We go exercise at the same time, we go and come back. And we now discover that when we go to the exercise and come back, you see, Mr. A, his blood sugar will come back to normal. Mr. B will drop maybe by 2-3 points. Mr. C, maybe with 1 point.
Affordability of food and medication, especially for patients in rural communities, are major challenges patients face.
I cannot afford to buy my food. I cannot afford to buy the drugs. These are the major problems for diabetic people. And most of the diabetic food, they are all expensive. So if you are not working, honestly, there's nothing you can do.
He appeals for government's intervention through the provisions of subsidized medication.
Please, if government can come to the aid, get these drugs available in all the hospitals. Give whatever the percentage you feel you want to give. It will go a long way.
Diabetes remains a major cause of blindness, kidney failure, heart attacks, stroke, and lower limb amputation. But with the right intervention and treatments, among other management techniques, complications can be avoided. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And properties worth millions of naira have been destroyed following a fire outbreak at the popular Singa market in Kano. Although no life was lost, but eyewitnesses say an electrical spark may have been the cause of the inferno. Meanwhile, firefighters and Good Samaritans have successfully put out the raging fire.
We saw an electric spark. It looks like electrical problem. It's continue booming. It's continue going up. Later on, we decided to call the fire service. But before the fire service arrives, the fire has overwhelmed the place and it has destroyed virtually everything that is inside this place. But for now, as you can see, the fire service were able to put off the fire. I saw smoke when I was about to eat my breakfast. Then we saw fire going up. We decided to leave where we are to relocate to another place. But instead, the fire keeps on expanding. It keeps on expanding. And later, we decided to call the fire service. But even before the fire service arrives, the fire has destroyed the place.
Still with us on Trust TV News Hour. Still ahead. An Islamic cleric explains will implementation. Details of this and more after the break. Just stay with us.
This is not a political advert. It's a message to stimulate the innovative and productive transformation of Nigeria's greatest asset, the people, to create a future of shared prosperity. 2023 and beyond, how do we deliver macroeconomic stability and invest in our future? Be one of the key global stakeholders answering these pertinent questions at the 28th Nigerian Economic Summit on the 14th and 15th of November 2022 at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Theme: 2023 and beyond, priorities for shared prosperity. Register to attend virtually or in person at www.nesgroup.org/28.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, StarTimes is taking us to a better level.
You can step up your family entertainment with the Star Times upgrade promo. You recharge 2 months on Nova Bouquet and get upgraded to Basic or Smart Bouquet. Recharge 2 months on Basic or Smart Bouquet, you get upgraded to Classic or Super Bouquet. And if you recharge 2 months on Classic or Super Bouquet, you get 10 days free on your subscription. This upgrade automatically qualifies you for a weekly draw to win 55-inch smart TV, PA systems, home appliances, and more. These prizes are proudly sponsored by Longreach, Wayon, and Amaz. This promo is from the 15th November to 15th January 2023. Times and conditions apply. On Star Times, every day is the best day ever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Star Times. Entertain your family.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now let's recap our top stories. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu promises to transform Nigeria as ruling party flags off presidential campaign rally in Plateau State. And properties worth millions destroyed at Singa Market in Kano. And moving on to other news now, the New Nigeria People's Party presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwaso has restated his determination to raise the number of military and police personnel to 1 million as part of his strategic plan to end insecurity if elected president in 2023. The presidential candidate, however, did not elaborate on how to achieve that. Speaking in Hausa during a media interaction organized by the Northern Broadcast Media Owners Association in Abuja, Kwankwaso said his government will dialogue with all aggrieved militant groups to lay down their arms and restore lasting peace in the country. Kwankwaso said education provision will be given priority and the national examination will be free for students in secondary schools. Meanwhile, the Nasarawa State University Kefi branch of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has called on Governor Abdullahi Sule to fulfill his commitments he made to the union. Chairman of the union, Samuel Alu, made the call at a press briefing held at the university in Kefi. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
According to the Nasarawa State University Kefi ASU chairman, the union had on July 2022 presented to the public the state of affairs of university, which prompted the state governor to make certain public commitments that were conveyed to the union in writing. He said upon the presentation, the state governor Abdullahi Sule promised to take over the responsibility of full payment of salaries of the university staff starting from August 2022 with an immediate release of 200 million naira out of the 1 billion naira owed the lecturers to pay part of outstanding earned academic allowances arrears and pronounce a monthly payment of 20 million naira for mainstreaming of earned allowance. He, however, explained that to date, the governor has not fulfilled the commitments he made to ASU.
In 2020,
there was a condition for taking over the full salary from government that there has to be data capturing. That time we were on strike, ASU could not, but after the strike, as soon as the strike was suspended, we went and did our data capture way back in 2020. This is 2 years plus. Up to now, even when he eventually agreed to say he was going to start taking over the vote, it was premised on a certain condition that we suspend a national strike.
He said even before the commencement of the suspended ASU national strike, the branch was about to embark on a local strike, but due to the promise by the governor, the local wing put it on hold.
It is worrisome that we have a situation like this. As you are aware, we have already kickstarted the process of industrial action. If not for the national strike that was declared in February, by now we will have gone very, very much far. I want to put on record that this Friday, the zone is paying a visit to engage with the university administration and possibly the council of the university to, as a matter of fact, fulfill all righteousness.
He called on well-meaning Nigerians within and outside the state to prevail on the governor to fulfill his promises to the university and ASU by effecting the pronounced payments, as doing so will guarantee continuous industrial harmony in the university.
And the Federal University of Kashere chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, on Tuesday held a peaceful rally to protest the withholding of 7-month salaries of its members by the federal government. Addressing a press conference after an emergency branch Congress meeting in the institution, the chairperson of the Congress, Shehu El Rashid, accused the federal government of undermining all efforts by the union to guarantee Nigerians qualitative and affordable university education. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Although members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, have agreed to return to the classroom, they are, however, battling difficult financial challenges due to non-payment of 7 months' salaries by the federal government. This, the lecturers say, is why they converge at the Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State, for an emergency branch Congress meeting to press home their demands.
The union observes that withholding members' salaries for 7 months is not only diversionary, but a wickedness by the agents of the federal government to jeopardize the effort of members from pursuing legitimate demands of the union aimed at members' welfare and funding of public universities. Hence, release of withheld salary is not in the list of the union's demand, but rather an attempt by the agent of government to misinform and divert public attention from the real issues. 2, the union wishes to remind the public that the demands that led to the declaration of strike action on 14 February 2022 are failure of the federal government to implement the memorandum of action it entered with ASU in December 2020.
El Rashid said the union is more law-abiding than the federal government as it obeyed the court ruling to suspend its strike action, while the government, on its part, subjected members to hunger and starvation through the payment of prorated salaries for October 2022.
Our position remains that the IPPIS is a cesspool of corruption and it undermines the university autonomy. 5, the federal government has clearly demonstrated its lack of commitment and insincerity towards funding education, as our union consistently struggled for. Thus, it is evident that federal government is the one undermining all efforts by the union to guarantee Nigerians a qualitative and affordable university education.
The fate of students of public Nigerian universities continues to hang in the balance, as actions like this one by the lecturers, as well as lack of commitment from the federal government to pay the 7-month salaries for the period the lecturers were on strike, continue to negatively impact public education in the country. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
In a similar vein, the Academic Staff Union of Universities UNILAG chapter held its one-day protest over the payment of half salaries to its members in the month of October. The lecturers walked alongside some students from the Julius Berger Auditorium to the main gate, where they were addressed by the leadership of the union in the institution. The action is organized in branch levels of ASU nationwide, and each branch of the academic union will choose their dates. The Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, wants the Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Pauline Tallen, to tender an apology for comments she made on the court judgment nullifying the APC governorship primary election in Adamawa State, that Aisha Ahmad as the winner. The NBA, in a letter signed by its president, Yakubu Mekyo, noted that while speaking with journalists on the sidelines of the Global Reunion, an annual general meeting of her alma mater, the Federal Government Girls College, BIDA, the minister had referred to the said judgment of the Federal High Court as a kangaroo judgment, comments which were disrespectful and contemptuous of the court. While noting that the NBA does not have any interest in the matter and holds no brief for any of the parties to the dispute, the NBA president restated the association's commitment to its responsibility of protecting the integrity and independence of the courts. The NBA, while asking the minister to withdraw the comments and apologize to the court within 7 days, described Tallen's conduct as uncivilized and totally unbecoming, particularly of the holder of a public office who knows better and enjoys tremendous influence over political supporters, who may interpret such comments as a marching order against the court. And the world population has hit an 8 billion mark on Tuesday, November 15th. The number jumped from 7 billion in the last 7 years. Against this background, experts want adequate sensitization of citizens, increased infrastructure funding and human capital development to cope with population rise. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that respondents also want urgent steps to mitigate the impact of the population upsurge against the backdrop of Nigeria's prediction of becoming the third most populous nation by 2050. The report.
Global population on Tuesday hits 8 billion marks, progressively growing from 1 billion in 1804 to 3 billion in 1960 and now hitting 8 billion in 2022. China is said to be maintaining its lead as the most populous nation with about 1.5 billion people, followed by India, which has 1.4 billion, and United States currently a distant third.
These projections, have been there for years, and even now, from now to 2050, is also a long time. And that people policymakers, need to come up with things that will help us, tackle it, address it, and most importantly, to have what it takes, to take care of that population.
Nigeria's population currently stands at approximately 220 million, with a projection of 450 million by 2050 to overtake the U.S., thereby becoming the third most populous nation. How prepared is the Nigerian authorities to respond to this situation?
And that's where education is very important. Education not just at the university level, but vocational education, people, every opportunity where people need to acquire skills, acquire knowledge that will help them solve the problems in their societies must be encouraged.
Because the truth is, corruption is really, really crippling us as a people. It is not helping us grow in any way. You would notice that things that are supposed to be used, or monies that are supposed to be used for infrastructure, is buried somewhere. It's in the hands of some individual.
With low literacy level, about 20 million out-of-school children, huge infrastructure deficit as a result of bad governance, experts say managing the population surge is imperative for a robust and developing economy.
When you have a leadership that is corrupt, a leadership that is incompetent, that will be a problem. So for us to address that, we must vote the right people into leadership positions at all levels.
If we're able to do it sustainably, we're able to industrialize sustainably, even with the overpopulation or with the population growth, we're going to be able to curtail it, we're going to be able to control it.
As Nigerians head to the poll next year, stakeholders stress the need to frame policy debate around such critical areas to facilitate an effective leadership recruitment process. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now to Ekiti State, where Gboyega Ariboshogun, representing Ikole 1 constituency, has emerged as the new Speaker of the state's House of Assembly. Ariboshogun, who is a two-term lawmaker, was elected at plenary on Tuesday, having polled 15 votes to defeat Olubumi Adelupa, who got 10 votes. He was sworn in as Speaker by the Clerk of the House, Tola Eson, following his victory at the election. After being sworn in, the new Speaker expressed gratitude to his colleagues for the confidence reposed in him and pledged to discharge his duties to the best of his ability and protect the Constitution of the country and standing rules of the House of Assembly. The new Speaker succeeds Fumini Afuye, who died suddenly on October 19th after suffering cardiac arrest. The Nigerian Navy has arraigned crude carrier MT Heroic Idom and its crew members at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt on 3-count charges bordering on unlawful entrance into Akpo oil field, raising false piracy alarm to avoid arrest, and an attempt to lift crude oil without clearance. The arraignment followed a target operation by the Nigerian Navy, which saw the runaway vessel with a capacity of 3 million litres brought back alongside the crew from Equatorial Guinea. The report.
When the case was called, the prosecuting counsel, Assistant Chief State Counsel Abidemi Adeomi Aloko, said it was not possible to produce all 426 defendants in court on the same day and asked that 16 of them who were present take their plea while the remaining 10 appear on a separate day. Similarly, the counsel to the defendant, Udoka Ezobi, pleaded that they be allowed access to medical needs and their lawyers. 16 out of the 26 crew members who were present in court pleaded not guilty to the charges. Earlier, while speaking with newsmen, captain of the vessel, Danuj Mehta, denied that they were in the oil field to steal oil. Mehta, who is an Indian, claimed that there was a mix-up in the documentation.
We came to Nigeria on 8th of August. We had a misunderstanding with the terminal. The documents which were supposed to be filed by the ship's agents, so there was some misunderstanding relating to the documents. And in the night we had an incident with a vessel which at that point of time we did not know is the Nigerian Navy. And as I was guided by my higher authorities and my owners and company, we managed to take all actions as was advised by them. And on 12th of August, we were arrested by Equatorial Guinea Navy ship Captain David and taken to Equatorial Guinea. We arrived in Equatorial Guinea on 14th of August. And since then, we've been in Equatorial Guinea. And then we were handed over to Nigeria. So that's our side of the story. We are innocent and we have always been innocent. Myself and the ship's crew, we've just been following orders which were provided to us.
The presiding judge, Justice Turaki Muhammad, after listening to the counsels, ruled that the defendants be remanded in the vessel and adjourned for the rest to appear in court.
Now, a will is a legal declaration of a person's wishes regarding the disposal of his or her property or estate after death. Although the Quran has its position on how the properties of a deceased person should be shared, there are, however, concerns over the inability of beneficiaries to implement the will. Ibrahim Ismail examines the position of Islam on wills in this report.
According to Sheikh Aliyu Hamari, the Deputy Chief Imam of Gombe Central Mosque, will is a declaration of gift which comes into effect after the death of a testator. He speaks on the significance of will in Islam.
It has legal basis in both the Holy Quran and the Hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as in Quran 2 verse 240, that is Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding those that are dying to leave at least a 1 year bequest maintenance for their wives. And in a hadith reported by Al-Bukhari on the authority of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam paid him a visit when he was ill at Mecca. He asked the Prophet that he will give, since he has only one daughter, he don't have any legal heir except his one daughter, and he has huge wealth. He asks whether he can give as charity to third of his estate. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said no. He said, what of half? The Prophet said no. He said, what of 1/3? The Prophet said, even though 1/3 is quite enough, it's more than enough, but you can make a bequest of not more than 1/3 of your estate.
The Islamic scholar said there are limitations to what people can do while making their wills, as he explained the demarcation between a will and inheritance.
So you cannot make a bequest for any among these 17 legal heirs. However, if you make a bequest in favor of them, that bequest can be rectified by the other legal heirs. We are calling it ultra-virus bequest. If the rest legal heirs has assented to the ultra-virus bequest, then it is valid.
Trust TV speaks to some respondents in Gombe on their understanding of will.
Mutanen da kanmu wadda muka sani su gaskiya sun fi mu rike wasiya idan an ce a bar abu ko kuma idan an ce ga yadda za a yi.
Old generation execute the will as stipulated, but these days heirs don't settle the debts left by their loved ones because people are greedy.
Will is very important in our life, also in our religion, because after you pass away, you're going to make things easier to your family.
The deputy chief imam of Gombe Central Mosque therefore urged judges to settle debts and execute wills of the dead before sharing estate as inheritance. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this break. Do stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back to Trust TV News Hour. Now, days after Nigerians woke up to an unusual increase in food commodity prices, reports show that the prices have now collapsed across major markets in the country. The announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the major denominations of the country's currency triggered a rush for grains by people with large amounts of cash. The prices of maize, rice, soya beans, millet and others across the different grains market hit the roof, creating panic in the country. However, reports across states of the Federation have it that prices are now coming down, easing the tension in the value chain. In Kano State, the prices of grains in Dawano International Grain Market were reported as going down. Reports say a 100 kilogram bag of maize that was sold at 26,000 naira last Friday is now selling at 21,000 naira, while a 100 kilogram bag of millet that was sold last week at 27,000 naira is now 23,000 naira. And the price of a 100 kilogram bag of soybeans that skyrocketed to 37,000 naira has dropped to 31,000 naira. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has stopped the federal government from going on with its Nigeria Air agreement reached with Ethiopia Airlines. The court granted an order of interim injunctions restraining the federal government from executing the proposed or draft agreement of the establishment of a national carrier between Ethiopian Airlines and Nigeria. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has rejected Airtel Africa's bid to buy 3.5 GHz spectrums for 5G deployment without participating in an auction. Airtel Africa had, during a stakeholders meeting on Tuesday in Abuja, declared its readiness to pay $273.6 million for the 5G spectrum after losing the first auction to MTN Nigeria and Mafab Communications in December of 2021. However, the NCC has declined the request, insisting that Section 124 of the Nigerian Communications Act has already set out the process to assign licenses. The second largest telecom in Nigeria had participated in the 5G auction of 2021, in which it lost to Mafab Communications and MTN Nigeria, both of which bid $273.60 million to defeat Airtel's final bid at $270 million. Airtel said the slot should be reserved for it as an administrative assignment for participating in the 2021 auction. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Wafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for that business update. Now we'll take a look at the foreign scene, where 5 Congolese refugees have been isolated at the Nyakambandi refugee transit camp in Kisoro district after testing positive for COVID-19. The Assistant District Health Officer, Ms. Annette Dusabe, said although the patients are not very sick, they have been isolated to avoid transmitting the disease to others. She advised the health workers, staff from different humanitarian organizations operating in the transit camp, and the general population in the district to observe standard operating procedures to avoid contracting the disease. The Deputy Resident District Commissioner, Robert Tukumohembwa, said since March, when Congolese refugees started crossing into the district following the escalation of the M23 conflict, they have tested 47,993 of them and found 677 with the virus. And now to sports, where World Athletics has confirmed the date for the 9th Okwekwe International 10-kilometer road race. The organizers said the event will hold on May 27, 2023 in Okwekwe town near Auchi, Edo State. The race, the first road running event to be granted a label status by World Athletics in West Africa, according to World Athletics, will be one of the 40 gold label road running events to hold in 2023. According to the calendar released by the World Athletics, the gold label Okwekwe International 10-kilometer road race will be the only label road race to hold on May 27. The first gold label road race in Africa and the continent's first World Food Marathon major is the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon in South Africa. Now let's join Adeni Ajishafe for more sports news.
Ogun State government has declared interest to host the 22nd edition of the National Sports Festival in 2024. The state governor, Dr. Abiodun, said this while playing host to a 5-man delegation from the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, led by Director of National Sports Festival and Paralympic Sport, Peter Nelson. The delegation was in the state for an on-the-spot assessment of sporting facilities in the state. Governor Abiodun said the Gateway State is aware of the role of sport in nation building and in fostering peace and unity, hence the need to engage the youth to discourage them from vices. The governor said the event will also serve as an opportunity to give a facelift to more facilities and create employment and business opportunities for individuals. The delegation made recommendations as regards standards needed ahead of the event. The team inspected facilities in Abeokuta, Shagamu, Ikene, and Ijebu-Ode axes. And in handball, the national under-18 and under-20 handball male teams are presently undergoing campaign preparation in Lagos ahead of the IHF Trophy 2022 for African Zone 3 to hold in Cote d'Ivoire. The under-18 boys team, coached by Emeka Namani, and under-20 boys team, led by Fidelis Obi, are undergoing an intensive training program at Roe Park Sports Center in Yaba, Lagos. Most of the players invited for national team duties were involved in the recent 2022 Prudent Energy Handball Premier League, while the coaches believe their fitness level ahead of the championship is in top shape. Nigeria will be participating in the IHF Trophy 2022 for African Zone 3 from November 24 to 27, 2022, which is the last for the African Zone. Previous championships for the IHF Trophy 2022 for the African Zone were held in Harare, Zimbabwe, Moroni, Comoros, Nairobi, Kenya, and Conakry in Guinea. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. And don't forget, for more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf as we return to our live broadcast of the Media Interaction organized by the Northern Broadcast Media Owners Association. Have a good evening.